Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to crack open a concept that, believe it or not, quietly shapes pretty much every piece of technology you own. Yeah, from your phone all the way to your game console. Okay, let's get into it. So picture this. You've just unboxed that brand new piece of tech. It's all shiny and powerful, and it's promising you the future. But as you're setting it up, that one crucial question pops into your head. You know, the one we've all asked. Can I still use my old stuff with it? For gamers, this is like the classic moment of truth. And there's an official name for that feature, for that little bit of technological magic. It's right here, backward compatibility. It's really just a simple but super powerful promise that the new can understand and work with the old. Think of it like a bridge connecting different generations of technology. So let's really break down what this means. I mean, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right? But as you're about to see, making it actually happen involves some really fascinating decisions and some seriously clever engineering. You know, a great way to understand what something is to look at what it isn't. So when a company decides its new system won't work with older software, they're actively breaking compatibility. And this isn't some accident, it's a deliberate choice. A choice that has some pretty big consequences for everyone involved. And yeah, we might have started with a gaming example, but this concept is absolutely everywhere. Seriously, it's one of those fundamental ideas that's allowed our entire digital world to evolve without constantly having to just, start over from scratch. Okay, check this out, because this is a brilliant example, and it's not even digital. When stereo FM radio came along, millions of people still had old mono radios. So what do? Well, the engineers came up with this genius idea. They sent the main audio as a standard mono signal that all the old radios could play. Then they cleverly tucked the extra stereo info into a second signal. New stereo radios, they could combine both signals for that full stereo sound. And the old mono radios, they just ignored that second signal they couldn't understand. It was a perfect solution. Everybody won. And that same principle is literally the bedrock of modern computing. The reason that piece of software you bought years ago can probably still run on your brand new laptop, that's thanks to the incredible backward compatibility of processors like Intel's x86 family, a legacy that stretches back for decades. And the same goes for Wi-Fi. A huge part of its success is that new devices can still talk to old routers, making sure the whole system just works together. So, if this feature is so amazing, why doesn't every new device just support every old format forever? Well, that question gets us right to the core of our story today. This constant battle between the benefits of keeping the past alive and the costs of dragging it into the future. Let's start with the easy part, the benefits. Why do we as consumers care about this feature so much? Well, the reasons are pretty powerful, and they go way beyond just being convenient. First and foremost, it preserves our investment, right? And our history. We get to keep these game libraries we spent years and lots of money building. For the companies, it's a huge selling point. The PlayStation 2 is a perfect example. Its ability to play the enormous library of original PlayStation games was a massive reason for its early success. And it also solves that launch drought problem, giving us plenty to play while we wait for brand new titles to come out. And this just nails the psychology behind it all. This quote is from all the way back in 1998, but it's so on point. It says that even people who never actually go back and play their old games still really, really want the feature. It's about the value of their collection, the peace of mind in just knowing that the option is there. It's like an emotional security blanket. And hey, if you think this is just some theoretical benefit, look at this number. Xbox players have logged over, wait for it, 1 billion hours playing backward-compatible games. This is not some small niche feature that people ask for and then just ignore. It is a massively popular and heavily used part of the whole ecosystem. So now, let's flip the coin. Let's look at the other side of the ledger. What are the costs? Why would a company ever choose to break compatibility and just leave the past behind? And this really gets to the crucial dilemma that every single hardware manufacturer faces. It's a fight between innovation and obligation. Do you push forward, totally unburdened by the past, to create the most advanced thing you possibly can? Or are you obligated to keep supporting the hardware and software that your customers already own? The burdens are very, very real. It can cost more money, plain and simple, especially if you have to literally include old hardware components in the new machine. All that extra complexity can delay a product's release. And, it can even stifle innovation. If developers know they can just sell a cross-gen game that works on both the old and new console, they have way less incentive to make games that truly, truly take advantage of the new system's power. The PlayStation 3 is the perfect real-world case study of this whole trade-off in action. The very first models actually included the main processing chips from the PlayStation 2 right inside them, which guaranteed almost perfect compatibility. But this made the console really expensive. So in later models, Sony took those chips out to cut costs. And just like that, the ability to play PS2 discs was gone. And this wasn't just a one-off thing. Nintendo did the exact same thing with the Wii. The first versions had all the ports for your old GameCube controllers and memory cards, but later, cheaper models, they quietly got rid of them. It's a pretty common move for companies trying to bring down costs later in a console's life. So, all of this brings us to today. After decades of this constant push and pull, where does the future of backwards compatibility actually stand? When you boil it all down, the entire story really comes down to this one sentence. It is a perpetual tug of war between us, the consumers who want lasting value from what we buy, and the companies that need to innovate and push us toward the next big thing.
But what's so fascinating is that it feels like the pendulum has swung all the way back again. The most recent generation of consoles has embraced backward compatibility more than ever. The Xbox Series X and S continued and even expanded their massively popular program, while Sony made sure the PS5 could play almost the entire library of PS4 games right out of the box. It seems like our desire as consumers won this round.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. As the pace of technology just gets faster and faster, the decision to maintain these bridges to the past becomes even more critical. It's not just about old games or old software anymore. So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that is always, always looking forward, what essential parts of our culture, of our history, do we risk losing when we can no longer look back?